What's going on? Aaron Goldsten here. So in this video, we're going to go over Richard McDonald. I'm going to share with you Richard McDonald's story of starting McDonald's and 3 key business lessons that you can take away from Richard McDonald's success and things he did to successfully start and grow McDonald's to the point till he ended up selling it. And the reason this is so important is if you have a business now or you're thinking about growing a business, a lot of times what we can do is we can find people out there that have started businesses and become massively successful in a pretty short period of time, or massively successful over, let's say, decades and decades. And we can look at all the things that they did, and a lot of times we can narrow it down to a few key specific things that they did that allowed them to be successful. Once you know what those key things are, you can then take those key things, either use them in your business now, or at least have that knowledge, so in the future, you can use these principles, because when you have access to better information, it allows you to take better actions and allows you to get better results. So in this video, I'm going to share with you their story of how Richard, and it does have to do with his brother as well, how they got started with McDonald's, how they started being successful at McDonald's, and then I'm going to share with you at the end of it 3 key business takeaway lessons that you can either use now or you'll at least have in your head that you'll be able to use in the future when you run into maybe roadblocks or things in your business that will allow you to be more effective, that will allow you to work smarter and not harder. Because again, when you have access to better information, it allows you to take better actions, which allows you to get better results. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive right into it. Richard and his brother were born into a pretty poor family. Their dad had a job that he worked at for 42 years. And after 42 years, he ended up getting laid off work because he just couldn't perform his task anymore, was the reason he was getting laid off. He was getting kind of old. He wasn't able to do his task that met the company's standard, so the company laid him off work. This affected the brothers in a very profound way. And they were actually quoted saying, quote, "We made up our minds that one way or another we'd be financially independent." They saw that just because you're loyal, just because you're good at your job now, just because the company's paying you today, doesn't mean the company's paying you tomorrow. Because as soon as the company feels that you're not doing their job up to par, you're not meeting the criteria of the job, or they think they can find someone to do it better or even cheaper, it's not too uncommon for the company to lay you off work. So they said, you know what, we don't want to put our hands in we don't want to put our financial success in someone else's hands. We want to start our own business. We want to make something for ourselves. We want to kind of be in control of our finances. So they set off to California to get in the entertainment business. They wanted to direct and produce movies, and they landed themselves a gig at a movie studio doing junk work for $25 a week. So, not necessarily their dream. But they said, you know what, this isn't what we want to do quite yet. However, we're not going to give up. We have a vision for ourselves. We have a desire. Let's see what happens. So they ended up saving up some money. Then they took a loan out from the bank. And they bought a 750-person movie studio that was about 20 miles outside of Los Angeles that they opened up. Unfortunately, they opened it up in 1930, which was when, this was like when the Great Depression started. So the movie theater didn't really take off. And they tried to stay at the movie theater. They tried to make it successful. They were hoping it was going to come around. They even got to a point to where it was so bad that they buried some silver in the back of the movie theater in case the bank came and foreclosed on the movie theater. A few years went by. They said, you know what? We've been struggling for a while, and they eventually sold the movie theater, and they decided to call it quits. Started off working for $25 an hour doing junk work. They saved up money. Then they took out a loan. They opened up this movie theater. Even that didn't work out after a year, so they decided to call it quits. You know what? We're not going to give up quite yet. Richard McDonald and his brother said, we're not going to give up quite yet. We have a vision. We have a goal. As Anthony Robbins has said, God's delays are not God's denials. Let's just keep pushing forward. We'll just, even if it's painful, even though this kind of sucks, let's keep moving forward. And they ended up opening up their first McDonald's, or it was actually McDonald's Barbecue. was what they opened up not too long after. And at the McDonald's barbecue, they sold everything. So they sold a lot of the things we kind of see today, the burgers and the shakes and the fries, but they also had a big barbecue pit. They sold a bunch of barbecue stuff, and they did this for a few years. And after a few years, they looked at their sales, and they realized that the majority of their sales were coming from just a handful of items. They had 25 items on their menu, and they saw that most of their sales were coming from 9 items. So they cut their menu from 25 items to 9 items. The thing about how crazy this is, they said, hey, I got a great idea to grow the business. What we're going to do is we're going to slash the menu by around 80%. Sounds like a great deal. When they did this, their business actually exploded. The next year, it really took off. And then they got to the point where not too long in the future, they started opening up multiple McDonald's. The reason they did this is, a lot of people are trying to make a bunch of things work. They looked at their business from an unbiased perspective. They said, this is what's selling the most. We're just going to focus on this. The other thing they did is they made everything very systematized. See, up until this point, pretty much all places you went to, you would get to pick, your burger. How much lettuce would you like on it? How many pickles would you like on it? What kind of condiments would you like? It was similar to that. They made everything very cookie cutter. They figured that they saw that what made the majority of people happy were certain items on their certain items on like their burger, so they made it like that. They actually got rid of the whole barbecue pit, and they focused on kind of the standard menu that we see today. Some of the quotes they said is, well, this was not a quote, but like the hamburger came with mustard, ketchup, onions, and 2 pickles. That was that. One of the things that they were quoted saying was, if we gave people choices, there would be chaos. Another quote was, our whole concept was based on speed, lower prices, and value. Guy comes in, you ask him what he wants on his burger, and he says, I got to go back to the car to ask my wife. Wouldn't work. So they wanted everything very cookie cutter, right? They wanted everything to be cheap, and they wanted to be able to make it quickly so they could serve customers quickly and give people good experiences, right? At the average restaurant, the price that they lowered their items to was a lot cheaper than the average restaurant. So, this gave them a competitive advantage because the item's cheaper and they're getting their food faster. Let's say the average wait time was like, 5 or 6. Let's say the average wait time in a restaurant was like 6 minutes and a burger was like 20 cents. And you go to McDonald's and the burger's 10 cents and you get the burger in 2 minutes. People like that. They like that speed, and they don't have to, some people they don't want to worry about making decisions. They just say, hey, I'm not even really sure. Just give me the best of, just give me, whatever kind of the most popular item is, and that's that. There's been times I walk into the restaurants, I'm not 100% sure. I'm like, do people usually get this? I don't know. It'd be nice if they just, give me kind of what they decided is kind of the most popular, and, we'll kind of go from there. Their business exploded. They opened up more restaurants. They opened up, it was like, I believe it was around 21 restaurants, and it was around this time that they ended up selling it to Ray Kroc. And they ended up selling it to Ray Kroc, and then Ray Kroc took the business from that point and blew it up to what we see today. So, that is the story of Richard McDonald's. Now, even though they sold the business, they still sold it for a decent amount of money. Like when Richard McDonald passed away, he left in his will $1.8 million, which, is not, it's not gazillions of dollars, but it's still a decent amount of money. And some of the lessons we could take away from McDonald's, or from the McDonald's brothers. 3 key business lessons we could take away. The first lesson is, just because something doesn't work out right in the beginning, you don't give up. You listen to anyone that's pretty much successful, you'll hear pretty much all the time they've started multiple businesses, they've tried lots of things out before they found the thing that made them successful. Same thing was true with them. They wanted to be a director, that didn't work. They opened up a movie theater, that didn't work. It was when they opened up a McDonald's. The second lesson we can take away is what's called the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule states that about 80% of results in anything come from about 20% of effort. So what you want to do is, if you have a business, you want to figure out and think, what are the 20% of the actions I'm taking now that are giving me about 80% of the results, and focus on those 20 things. In the restaurant, in the McDonald's business, it was cutting the menu. It was getting rid of the barbecue pit and all that stuff. It was cutting the menu down from 25 items to 9 items. When they did this, I forget the exact numbers, but I think it was like 200 or like 300, 350%. Their business increased the following year. It increased really fast because they focused and they got really, really good at getting those items out fast and getting those items cheap, right? Because I'm sure, they started buying more hamburgers at that point and less barbecue stuff. So usually when you buy stuff in larger amounts, you can buy it cheaper. All benefits come from that. Third lesson we can take away is they made it easy for people, right? They said, this is how the burger comes. Listen, you go to McDonald's now. If you want modifications, they'll give you modifications. But if you don't, this is how the burger comes, that's that. A lot of other companies have taken that approach now, so it's not as kind of unique as how it was back then. But that's good. It's a lot of people, they, just give them the most popular thing. Sometimes a gazillion choices can confuse people. They got to think about it. And, that's that. If I'm going to buy a car and people say, what do you want in a car? I'm like, I don't even know. I'm not even 100% sure. Now, some people know exactly, but, sometimes it's like, I don't even know. I kind of just want a fancy car that, what are the options? Oh, there's all these, I didn't even know it had all these options. Do I want these options? I don't know. Too many choices. Let me go home and think about it. It's better to have something cookie cutter. And then, of course, if people want to customize it, let them customize it. But figure out what the most popular product or service you have is. Sell it like that has all the things that you've gotten feedback from, because McDonald's have gotten feedback over the years of kind of the most popular, the most common things people wanted. Sell it as that, and then if people want modifications, give them modifications. So guys, that's what I got for you guys. My name is Aaron Goldsten, and that are the 3 key business lessons that you can take away from this. What I want you to do is let me know in the comments what you liked about this video. If there's certain lessons, one of these lessons you liked about this video more than others, let me know in the comments because I always like feedback. The other thing is, if you look in the description, I did put one of the questions people are always asking me is, Aaron, I kind of want to start a business. I kind of want to start making money. What's a good way that I could do to kind of start being successful? And I put a link in the description that might help you out as well. I put a free report for you in the description that will reveal 3 different specific ways you can start using to make $100 a day online fast. You don't have to pay for any of these things. There's no experience required. You don't have to have any skills. There's no selling. There's no recruiting. There's nothing you have to pay to sign up for or anything like that. So I have that resource in the description if that's something you're interested in as well. And then, of course, the final thing I will share with you is if you like videos like this, feel free to check out my channel because I do have other videos of kind of different business tips and tricks that are designed to help you skip the learning curve when it comes to making more money and starting and growing a successful business. So hopefully you don't have to go through the 12 years of pain that I've had to go through on my journey of being, starting businesses and having a desire to be a successful entrepreneur. That's what I got for you guys. My name is Aaron Goldsten, and you have a fantastic day. Bye for now.